in the introduction to India's foreign policy. Now, I would like to discuss some of the salient features of the present day Indian foreign policy or the changes compared to what was there during the Nehruvian time or 50s and 60s. What are the salient features or the changes in the foreign policy in the recent times? So, the heading is salient features of the present day Indian foreign policy, of the present Indian foreign policy, especially in this decade, or rather after Prime Minister Modi came to power, or in fact after or in the 21st century, in the last 20 years, and not much change, because many of these policies by Prime Minister Modi is a continuation of what was done by the previous government, the UPA government. Of course, slight changes in the name and things like that. So, let me talk about the salient features, and the first and the foremost change or a salient feature today, what we can say is the non-alignment, the changes which has happened in the non-alignment. Now, we have an explicit military alliance with USA. We have already signed various agreements with US, including this LEMOA. This is the Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement. Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement. Then recently we have also signed another agreement with the US known as the COMCASA, COMCASA, that is the Communications Compatibility and Security Agreement. Communications Compatibility and Security Agreement. So, we have signed or we have moved closer to the US. In fact, the beginning of this was in 2005 itself, when Prime Minister at that time, Dr. Manmohan Singh, signed the Indo-US nuclear deal with President George Bush. Then subsequently 3 years of negotiation, and finally the nitty-gritty, the 123 agreement was signed between India and US, 123 agreement in 2008. So, very explicitly from the days of the Cold War, when we were following the non-alignment, active engagement with both sides, we were more closer to USSR. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, we continued our good relations with Russia. But after 2005, we have moved explicitly closer to US. We signed the nuclear deal. Then subsequently, we have signed the military deal, whereby exchange of facilities, the logistics, this LEMOA is the Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement, whereby American warships and American facilities or American Army and Navy and Air Force can utilize Indian facilities, and India can utilize American facilities, which we did not allow even to Soviet Union during our friendship treaty, or rather we signed the friendship treaty with Soviet Union in 1971. Even then we did not allow the military facilities, exchange of military facilities were not allowed at that time. But now we have explicitly moved closer to US. That is a big difference. That is a salient feature of the present day Indian foreign policy. We are, in many cases, we are talking like an ally of the US, which is not the case before. So, the first and the foremost change in our foreign policy in the present day foreign policy is moving closer to the US. The second point, or the second explicit change which has happened in the last 20 years is the strategic partnership. Strategic partnership. In fact, this is a concept after the collapse of the Cold War. It's a new concept in the last 20-25 years. Strategic partnership is a comprehensive, it's a partnership, or it is a relationship, a bilateral agreement or bilateral relations much beyond the normal relationship. Here, a comprehensive, it's a special relationship, and it includes diplomatic partnership, military partnership, economic partnership. So there is a military angle, all comprehensive relationship is involved in strategic partnership. So we used to sign friendship treaties during the Cold War era before 1991, but we never entered into, there was no concept of strategic partnerships before. In fact, in 1998, we signed a strategic partnership with France. Since then, we signed almost 30 different strategic partnerships with various countries, including the US, including Russia, European Union, Japan, so many countries, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, a series of countries across the globe, we have signed strategic partnerships. So this is something, the relationship one step above the normal relationship, above the normal bilateral relations. I will be talking about strategic partnership separately, but India is keen to sign more and more strategic partnerships. We have signed more than 30 strategic partnerships already. That clearly shows that we are more than willing to have even military partnership, which was different from the Nehruvian concept, where we always wanted to keep away from the bloc politics, military arrangements. We were always afraid of having military arrangements with various countries. Today, we are having all comprehensive strategic partnerships. So this is a totally different phenomenon and philosophy altogether right now. So compared to what was there 50 years before or 60 years before or 70 years before, we are more than willing to have strategic partnerships with various countries. So this is a second salient feature of our present day foreign policy. Now coming to the third one is we assert our rightful place in the UN Security Council. UN Security Council. See, India is one of the founding members of the UN, and we were the original signatories of the UN in 1945, one of the 51 original signatories of the UN. And we always spoke on behalf of the third world countries. We always spoke on behalf of the newly decolonized countries in Asia and Africa. But we never forcefully demanded a seat in the UN Security. The most important body of the UN is the UN Security Council. That is the decision-making body, the implementing body. So we being the leader of the third world countries, naturally, we always expected, or we expected for India a place in the UN Security Council. But after 1990, after the new economic liberalization era, and the last 20 years especially, we started forcefully demanding a seat in the UN Security Council. We have even created G4 in 2004. We created a group of countries along with Brazil, along with Germany and Japan. India, Brazil, Germany, Japan. India, Brazil, Germany and Japan. We four countries have created a group called G4, and we demanded expansion of the UN Security Council, and we said that we are the rightful candidates for that also. So a major change in our foreign policy is our forceful claim that India has a rightful place in the UN Security Council. And we demand it. Even today we are demanding, and we are saying we are the first candidate. I mean, India is one among the first candidates should be given the chance to enter into Security Council as a permanent member. So our forceful reiteration and demand for a seat in the UN Security Council. A fourth point is our nuclear status. As I mentioned earlier, also in another video, India conducted our nuclear test, the first nuclear test in 1974 itself, but we called it as a peaceful nuclear explosion, PNE. We never claimed that we have weapons at that time. We never said, even if we might have some secret weapons, but we always maintained that it's only a technology demonstrator and we are not interested in having weapons. So we always kept it as a technology demonstrator, but at the same time, we were very particular about nuclear non-proliferation. We never allowed this technology to be passed on to somebody else. We were never in any pressure, or rather we might have been under pressure, but we always overcame that pressure and we never allowed our technology to be handed over to somebody else. But after 1998 nuclear explosion, 98 explosion, we decided to change that strategy. We decided to change, and we started asserting that we are a nuclear power. So there is a big change in our approach in the nuclear field. Till 1998, we had technology, we had weapons, but we never explicitly said that. But after 1998, we are asserting to the rest of the world that we are a nuclear power, and the culmination of that assertion came in 2005 when we signed the Indo-US nuclear deal, whereby the US acknowledged that yes, India has military program and India has peaceful civilian program. So military program, no cooperation with the US, but civilian program, the US agreed to a cooperation with India. So this the forceful nuclear policy, or rather whereby we asserted our weapons, our right to have weapon, and we are maintaining that we have weapons. So that has been explicitly accepted by the countries like US, and the number one country in the world, the US, has accepted. So that there is a major change in our foreign policy approach, and we are forcefully claiming that yes, we have nuclear weapon. A fifth point, which is totally different from what was there earlier, was that during the Cold War era, our international politics, in fact, after the end of the Cold War era, the international politics moved away from geostrategic to geoeconomic. Economy is more important, especially after 1990s, after the end of the Cold War, geoeconomic policies. And during this phase, India has shown her interest in joining various economic groupings in the world. We took initiative in 1985 itself to create SAARC. Subsequently, in 1990s, we showed our interest in joining ASEAN. So SAARC, ASEAN. Then we have created institutions like BRICS, economic grouping again, BRICS. In SCO, we have shown our interest and we have joined in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And we are showing interest in various, and even now the RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership of East Asia Summit. So we are talking about, or we are joining a series of such groupings because the focus of the world in the last 20 years have shifted away from geostrategic to more of geoeconomic, and India is more than willing to join such groupings. So earlier we were reluctant to join such groupings, but now we are more than happy to join such groupings to further our economic interest. So there is a massive change in our approach towards joining various groupings. Yet another change, number 6, I would like to say, is we are faced by various non-conventional threats right now. Non-conventional threats like terrorism, narcotism, terrorism or narco terrorism, abuse of the abuse of the substances. Then even we are also facing issues regarding narco issues. We are also facing various pandemics like AIDS, like corona. Then we are also facing series of environmental issues. Issues of sustainable development. Environmental issues, issues of sustainable development. Also, this is a cyber crime. These are all unconventional, the non-conventional threats. Terrorism, which is not there earlier, maybe it might have been there in a smaller form, but it got magnified after 1990s. The narco-related issues and the India is it is in the middle of that golden crescent and the golden triangle on either side. The crescent is in the Iran, Pakistan, and all on the western side, eastern side, Myanmar, Thailand, and all, from where a lot of drugs come to India, and from here it is getting exported. So then the money laundering is another big issue these days. Money laundering, AIDS, then various pandemics, the corona, then environmental issues like global warming, ozone layer depletion, then the sustainable development issues, cyber crime. So a series of issues, non-conventional issues we are facing, and in these situation, India is more than willing to join various global and regional groupings in to tackle these unconventional, non-conventional threats. India is willing to join various global and the regional initiatives designed to curb these tendencies. Various global and regional initiatives designed to curb this. Even misuse of the weapons. We have, please remember, we have joined the Australia group. Unconventional, these kind of chemical and nuclear weapons, to how to prevent this getting falling into the hands of these non-state actors. Wassenaar arrangement. We have joined MTCR. We are in the forefront in the global warming and the climate change issue. In the Paris, the Paris Agreement, India was in the forefront. Even the Solar Alliance, Global Solar Alliance, India initiated this. Prime Minister Modi took a lot of initiative in Solar Alliance. So we are more than willing to join regional and global groupings in curbing and fighting these non-conventional threats like terrorism, narco, AIDS, corona, then environmental issues, sustainable development issues. So we are having a newfound, or we are more than willing to join all these organizations. So these are some of the, so now just to sum up, just remember, first of all, we are moving closer to US, moving away from non-alignment. We have moved away from non-alignment, shown our great interest in aligning with US. Number two, we are more than happy to sign strategic partnership with various countries, more than 30 strategic partnerships already. We are forcefully demanding our rightful place in the UN Security Council. We are more than happy, or rather we have no hesitation in declaring ourselves to be a nuclear weapon state. So our nuclear status, we are more than emphatic in declaring that we are a weapon state. Then we are moving away from geostrategic to geoeconomic. The world is moving away from geostrategic to geoeconomic, and we are more than willing to join various regional groupings to further our economic interest. And finally, to deal with the non-conventional and unconventional threats, we are again joining regional as well as global arrangements and treaties, so that we can deal with the situation more effectively. So these are some of the changes, and they are the salient features of the modern day Indian foreign policy. And it's a very important topic.